Hello everyone, thanks for tuning in to today's video. So we're doing JMA Friday today, having a look at the weather coming month with the Japanese and CFS V2 models. And this is going to take us well into November. We'll go into the second half of the final month of autumn with this update, and of course then winter will be just around the corner. So we're getting towards the end of the year now. It'll be interesting to see what happens. But a really interesting autumn this. Had a very hot September, loads of dry weather and sort of a continuation of summer into September. October's been really dry as well. It's been much cooler. We've been on the cooler side of the blocking, and it's going to be interesting to see where things go as we get through into November. So I'll have a look at the Japanese and CFS models in a moment. Remember, all long-range forecasting is experimental. These models are not to be relied upon. The charts are there, so I might as well look at them. But don't take it too seriously. Right, if I get on with that, just to say about the ads, there's links to articles on all of the pages. Have a browse through widgets and click through the links. If there's any articles that you're interested in, you'll be helping us to pay for our website. Thanks very much for doing that. There's also video ads on most of the pages, which own content when you watch it. Close book again does help to pay for GazWellVids.com. Talking of the JMA, tomorrow evening, we'll have the free monthly update from the Japanese model. So it's going to take us from November next month through to January 2017. So that'll be with you tomorrow evening. We'll have weekend broadcast first of all tomorrow, and then later on in the day will be the free monthly update from the JMA. So check that out tomorrow evening. Right, let's get on with the video then, and we're going to start off with the 500 millimeter height anomalies from the Japanese model. We're looking from the pole down, so this is the North Pole just here. Mid-latitudes are around here, and the British Isles is just there. 500 millibars is an area in the atmosphere where high pressure, low pressure are being moved around by the jet stream running above. On these charts, red and orange are brighter colours, yellow as well, extrapolates to above average heights, which is high pressure, and blue extrapolates to below average heights, which is low pressure. So we see that got a ridge of above average heights to the north and northeast of the country for the coming week. These are broken down into week periods, by the way. So the first week takes us from the 21st today through to 28th of October. So we've got this area of above average heights to the north and east, trough of low pressure to the south and west, and presumably the flow is pretty easterly. Now that's fairly good representation of where we are right now. I think as we go through into next week, we probably find this area of above average heights sort of receding away a little bit, losing its influence, maybe more of an influence from this trough down to the south and west. So perhaps this is a bit transitional, with a lot of high pressure dominating to start off with, and a little bit more unsettled later on. Week 2 looks like this. This is the 28th of October through to the 4th of November. Slight change in position of the ridge in that it's more to the northwest of us. So it's out to northwest of Scotland and going up towards Greenland as well. Still means a lot of settled weather, but I think we probably change the wind direction with that and possibly bring it down more from sort of a northerly type direction, as that high pressure, the above average heights, is centred slightly to the west and northwest of the UK. So still very dry going through to the start of October, start of November, but probably as we get through to the end of October and start of November, we see things getting perhaps even a little bit more cooler than they have been. And then we go through to week 2 and week 3 and week 4. This takes us from the 4th through to the 18th of November, and quite a change on this one actually. We start to build up the heights to the south, and maybe bring the jet stream back with areas of low pressure coming in off the Atlantic. It's not a desperately wet signal, but it's probably more changeable there as we go through into the middle part of November. More unsettled, and I would have thought milder as well, probably dragging the air up more from a southwesterly type direction. Notice there is still high pressure over top of the pole. We have got northern blocking there, but at this point through to the middle part of November, remember this is the 4th through to the 18th of November, it does look more mobile, more unsettled. There'll be some rain coming in, and probably fairly mildish temperatures as well. Let's have a look at the temperature and precipitation anomalies. So this is the tropical and mid-latitude view from the JMA. The British Isles is just here in the far top right-hand corner of the chart as you're looking at it. So for the coming week, again, this is the 21st through the 28th of October. We find the ridge up to the northeast with the trough down to the south. The temperatures, that means the model is actually coming out sort of average to above average with the temperatures for the north near normal for the south of the country. So quite interestingly, it's a bit of the opposite way around to what you would normally expect. Scotland and Northern Ireland a bit warmer than average. England and Wales, if anything, perhaps a little bit on the cooler than average side. I would have thought that is generally quite a cool week for all of us coming up. However, the precipitation anomaly looks generally average to drier than average. Week 2, which goes from the 28th of October through to the 4th of November, just lots of anticyclonic influences, and it's more to the northwest of the country with this one. It means that the temperatures, again, they're the opposite way round to what you'd normally expect. Warmer than average for Scotland and Northern Ireland, near normal to a little bit cooler than average perhaps for England and Wales. Again, I think that would be quite a coolish week. I think what's happening there is that the model is seeing the ridge to the northwest of Scotland and assuming that Scotland will be quite mild under that ridge. Because of the time of year, radiative cooling, it is likely to be pretty cool, I would have thought, across all parts of the country if the pattern pans out as the model is predicting. They're overcooking the temperatures as always with these seasonal models. The precipitation anomaly is more or less drier than average across all parts of the country. And then we go through to weeks 3 and 4, which, remember, starts to bring back the jet stream. It's not a very unsettled spell, but certainly I think the jet stream is returning there from the 4th through to the 18th of November. And more sort of westerly influences, probably milder, probably wetter. We see that with the temperature anomaly, all parts of the country going milder than average then. Through the middle part of the month, and also the rainfall is coming back as well, so all places going wetter than average from the 4th through to the 18th of November. It does imply a more unsettled, changeable, milder, wetter spell as we get through into November. Let's see how the CFS V2 wants to take the weather patterns over the coming month. So these again, 500 millimeter heights broken down into weekly periods. The first week period takes us from the 21st through the 27th of October. Same idea as the JMA, the brighter colours, the reds and so on indicate high pressure, the blues and greens indicate low pressure. So for the coming week we have this ridge up to the northeast, trough of low pressure to the south, and the flows coming through like that. Excellent agreement for week 1 between both the JMA and the CFS V2. Week 2, which is the 28th through to the 3rd of November, again, very blocked. Look at all this blocking that we've got going on up to the north. If this was winter, this would be really, really cold. The blocking is actually moving a bit. It's more towards the northwest of the country as opposed to the northeast. So again, very much in agreement with the JMA with this. And I would have thought the flow around that blocking area of high pressure is likely to be coming from the northeast. Very dry conditions as well. Week 3, which is the 4th through to the 11th, 4th through to the 10th, of November. And still the blocking is there. It's more towards Greenland now, so it is retrogressing this area of high pressure going from Scandinavia and again towards Greenland by the 4th through to the 10th of November. A trough is coming in through the British Isles and also into Scandinavia as well. That could be really quite cold. We could have the winds in from the northeast with that. And well, you wouldn't rule out the chance of a little bit of wintry weather, maybe a little bit of sleet or snow actually with that sort of pattern. Especially for Scotland, it would be more for all of us if it was into winter. Still quite early, of course, but for Scotland, I do think that could produce some wintry conditions there through the early part of November. And then we get through to the 11th through 17th of November, and it's a change, and it's in line with what the JMA is doing, in that all of a sudden we're raising heights to the south, and we've got the low pressure to the northwest. So this is turning the winds into the west-southwest. That's a much milder direction. So again, around this middle part of November, good agreement between the two models that we turn it milder and more unsettled probably as well, particularly so for the north and west. Temperature anomalies for the coming week with CFS V2, this is 21st through 27th of October, comes out basically cooler than average, and this is much more what I'd expect with the pattern that we've got over the next few weeks, coming out colder than average, unlike the JMA, which I think is overdoing the temperatures quite a bit. Week 2, which is the 28th of October through to the 3rd of November, also comes out cooler than average. Then we go through to week 3. Actually, we've got a bit wrong there, so what I'm going to do is just very quickly hit the pause button, and I'm going to get the charts back up again. So I'll see you in a second. Okay, so I've sorted my charts out, and this is the week 3 temperature anomaly, taking us from the 4th through to the 10th of November, and this one is going average to a bit milder than average, so it implies that there's some sort of warming trend taking place there, albeit on the pattern. Actually, we've still got quite a lot of blocking around Greenland, and we've got this trough centred to the east of the UK, so I would have thought that could still be quite a coldish week coming up there, really. And then by week 4, we actually go milder than average across the whole country, and it makes sense because we're building a ridge up to the south, we're turning the flow into the west-southwest there from the 11th through 17th of November, so you'd expect temperatures to be increasing. Precipitation looks like this. The coming week is drier than average across the whole country, and so is week 2, which is 28th of October through to 3rd of November. That's drier than average as well. You expect it because we're blocking off the Atlantic big time. Week 3 is average precipitation. So clearly it is turning more unsettled there because we've gone from dry than average to average. So obviously there's more precipitation coming through from the 4th through 10th of November. And then week 4, the 11th through 17th of November, again it looks more or less average, but it is a little bit wetter actually to the north of the country. So it does look as though we've got very good agreement, actually, between these two models on the way forward. Keeping a lot of blocking influences through the rest of October, probably extending them into the start of November as well. Could be quite cool at times. We will get a bit of a push up in the temperatures briefly through the middle part of next week, but I'm not sure that's going to last all that long. I think overall, the next couple of weeks, probably likely to be fairly cool. The middle part of November looks like we've got agreement for a change to a more Atlantic-driven, milder, wetter, windier type pattern. It's a long way off, and because we're in this block setup, it could be that models are breaking down this blocking too quickly. But you would have thought at some point we're going to have a spell of mild westerly Atlantic-driven weather and get some rain bands coming through, because it's been a very dry autumn so far. You wouldn't have thought that can continue indefinitely. So I suppose at some point we've got to bring the westerlies back. It might happen through the middle part of November. We shall wait and see. As ever, these long-range models are highly experimental, so don't take it too seriously. That's how it's looking today. Anyway, we'll do the next JMA Friday, of course, next week. Tomorrow, it's the weekend forecast, and then we'll have a look at the next 3 months, November to January, with the JMA. That's all for now, then, and thanks for watching.